Smackdown starts off with a Cody Rhodes promo that gets interrupted by Paul Heyman and the Vision. Randy Orton ends up coming out for backup. Cody Rhodes was prepared. Then Paul Heyman basically ends up teasing, basically ends up trying to play mind games between Cody and Randy, basically saying that their friendship is not going to last long due to the WWE Undisputed Championship. So this is basically they're just teasing us for the 5 millionth time about one of them turning on each other, which we've been seeing for the last 3 years at this point. So it was a fine segment. It wasn't that long, which I'm glad it wasn't that long because we know how WWE it is when it comes to the vision and their promos. They love to stretch them out, have them be long, just over the top, long for no reason. This wasn't that long, so I'm glad they didn't overdo it. Glad that they made it short, made it very simple, just telling us that one of them is going to turn on each other soon. I hope it is soon, which because I am tired of the teases. Like, I get it, but you've been teasing us for 3 years. I don't think we need any more teases at this point. So we'll see when eventually this happens, but we all know I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon. This probably won't happen until around Royal Rumble because you have War Games right after Crown Jewel, and I highly doubt they're going to run Randy and Cody at Survivor Series. I just highly doubt they're going to do that when War Games is the main attraction. So I highly doubt they're going to do a Randy or Cody turn anytime soon, probably around December, maybe January, maybe, or maybe never. So we'll see. But this was mainly also to build the main event because the main event ended up being Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton versus Division with Braun and Braun Breaker. So overall, this was an okay segment just to build towards the main event and just to give us a little tease of potentially the future. Afterwards, we end up getting a Sami Zayn open challenge. We end up getting Carmelo Hayes. He ends up coming out wanting to accept the open challenge, but he ends up getting attacked by The Miz. And the reason why The Miz attacked him was due to Carmelo Hayes having a segment earlier in the show saying that he's completely done with The Miz and that he's completely through with him and that The Miz keeps getting in his way. The Miz, of course, felt some type of way, so he ended up hitting his finisher. I don't know why I'm forgetting his finisher all of a sudden, but he ends up attacking him, of course. Then he ends up leaving. This allowed Aleister Black to be the one to accept the challenge. Now, before I mention the Aleister Black and Sami Zayn match, I want to mention The Miz and Melo because I like it. I like it because I was so disappointed when Melo came out because I love Melo, but I was like, please do not do repeats. I'm like, because if we're going to do a repeat challenger, it needs to be two things. Either one, that repeat challenger wins, or two, it builds a story. What they did here, it built a story. I was like, either two things got to happen. One, Melo wins or The Miz interferes. Glad that The Miz interfered before the match and not during the match. Because I would have been mad if he did it during. Because that's just wasting a Sami Zayn open challenge. He attacked him during. I am very interested to see a Miz and Melo feud. I think it's going to be very interesting. I can't wait to see how that plays out. Because at least Melo is getting something. I'm just glad that Melo is getting substance. Some type of storyline that can actually elevate him, something that can actually benefit him, instead of him just doing filler stuff. Like, I'm glad he's finally getting some type of focus. I'm glad that Triple H is actually trying with Melo because Melo is so talented. He has the full package. He has the it factor. He has everything you want in a superstar. So I'm glad that he's finally putting in effort, and having The Miz as one of your rivals, it's a good thing. You have someone who could do a good amount of talking, so the feud is going to be interesting promo-wise. In-ring work, you got that covered with Carmelo Hayes. Now, The Miz isn't a bad in-ring worker, but he isn't someone that's going to carry you to a good match. But Melo could carry himself to his own good match. So this feud has a lot of potential. I like it. I like the story. I like what they're going with this. Can't wait to see what happens next. Then we end up getting Sami Zayn versus Aleister Black Open US Challenge. This was a really good match. Really good match. Aleister was getting the upper hand for the majority of the match. Towards the end of the match, Aleister Black was getting the upper hand. But then you end up getting Damian Priest. He comes out, distracts Aleister Black, and then Sami Zayn was able to take advantage to pick up the victory. I like what they did here. Damian Priest finally gets some payback because afterwards he ends up hitting a razor edge on the announce table. Because throughout this entire feud, it's just been Aleister Black sneak attacking Damian Priest and keeps hitting him with his signature kick. That's been the feud for the most part, where Aleister Black sneaks attack him, hits him with his kick, and that's it. So I like that Damian Priest finally got the upper hand. And then later in the show, he ends up announcing that they will have a last man standing match next week on Smackdown to finally finish this feud, which should be a really good match. So I'm very excited to see how that plays out. I like what they did here. This protects Sammy, protects Aleister Black as well, and Damian Priest finally gets some geek back because Literally all of the feud was literally Aleister Black keeps sneak attacking, so I'm glad that they switched it up a bit. So interested to see where this goes, and I love what they're doing with Sami Zayn U.S. Championship run. We end up getting a quick women's tag team match between Soruka Zarya versus the Secret Herberts with Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. This match ended up getting set up due to a backstage segment where Sol and Zarya wants to prove themselves for the tag titles, and then Chelsea Alba interrupt, try to recruit them but fail. So this ends up leading to a match. Soruka and Zarya win. I don't really need to explain. I don't really care because we all know where this is going. They're going to get a tag team title shot, lose, and then move on. Like I don't really need to explain this match. I love Soruka, I love Zarya, but we all know where this is going when it comes to this tag team. They're gonna lose to Charlotte and Alexa, like we all know they will, and that's really it. Like there's nothing more to really discuss here. Like I'm not gonna waste my time acting like this is some deeper story that it really matters. No, it doesn't matter. They're gonna lose, and they're gonna go back to NXT as they should. They're not even a real tag team. You're a tag team when your own tag team has a wrestler who's holding two singles titles. I don't know how that works, but sure. But we'll see how this plays out. Now we get Stephanie Vaquer, Tiffany Stratton contract signing. They didn't do much with this contract signing, which I'm glad they didn't because I didn't want them forcing a rivalry between these two because there is no rivalry. Basically, they end up just praising each other, basically saying they're going to win that crown jewel, but they respect each other. That's it. And they signed a contract. I know it isn't much, but it makes sense to do this because do not force a feud between these two. And plus, if they were to force a feud, it wasn't going to be good anyway with both of them being baby faces. So I'm glad they actually went this route. Afterwards, though, you end up getting Julia and Kiana James. They come out, attack Tiffany Stratton, and then Kiana tries to recruit Stephanie Vaquer for whatever reason. Don't understand it. And then during this promo, you have Julia is like dancing in the ring, like she's like going back and forth, like nodding, like she's like doing like like she's like strutting her shoulders while she's doing it, hopping up and down. It was very like it was throwing me off. I'm like, what? Like, what is she doing? Like, it was very cringe. I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, of course, Stephanie is not accepting this, so Tiffany gets back in the ring. They brawl, then they leave the ring, and now this is gonna be a match for next week. Why? What is the point of this? This makes no fucking sense, bro. I get you don't have much for these two women, but even if that's the case, this makes no fucking sense. What is the end goal here? You have three fucking champions. What you're because we all know what's gonna happen next week. You're gonna tell me your two world champions are gonna fucking lose? Come, let's like look, I say this all the time. Predictability isn't bad. It's only bad when it's boring and predictable. This is the most obvious predictable match ever in my fucking life. Because who's gonna take the pin? I wonder who's gonna take the pin. The one person who isn't a fucking champion, which is Kiana James. You have three champions. This benefits nobody. Because either way, one of them is going to look weak, and we all know the person who looks the weakest, which is Julia. What was the plan here? You really thought, like, really? Julia recruiting a world champion to her? Like, really? Come on. She can't recruit Michin. What makes you think she was going to recruit? This was dumb. I don't understand what was Triple H thinking here. I don't understand it. But, and let me guess, this what? It's going to end in disqualification? Like, come on, bro. Like, this is just dumb. This benefits nobody. We all know that Tiffany and Stephanie are not going to lose before Crown Jewel. And we know Julia isn't going to take the pin to protect her. So the only option is for Kiana to take the pin or a disqualification. But who would cause the match to be a disqualification? So this was just a dumb segment, worst segment of the show, to be honest with you. They should have just ended it with the Stephanie and Tiffany Stratton handshake and moved on. This was just dumb. We end up getting a quick Javon Evans segment. He ends up walking out of Nick Aldis' office, and they end up having a conversation. And Nick Aldis basically ends up saying that he'll keep his eye on Javon Evans. Then Ray Phoenix approached him. Then we end up getting Lost Garza. They approach Javon Evans and Ray Phoenix, which of course leads to a match. Really good match. Javon and Ray Phoenix picked the victory. What I'm interested in is that they're teasing Javon Evans potentially coming up to the main roster, which I don't mind, but it will be very shocking because there's plenty of people in NXT who I will argue who is more ready than Javon Evans. No offense to Javon. I love Javon. But there are more ready than Javon, and he's the one getting this Smackdown rub, which I just find very interesting because is this a potential tease of him coming to the main roster? Because they did similar things to Braun Breaker, Tiffany Stratton, but this isn't a guarantee because there are other people who didn't get on SmackDown or Raw at all, and they just ended up getting called at to the main roster as well. So this is very interesting. Very curious to see what happens. If he is going to get called up to the main roster, I would say do it next year because he still needs like another 6 months to a year, mainly to just really develop his character to a degree. Like he's not really that far off from main roster ready, but give it like another 6 months to a year to develop some promo skills to a degree, develop some more of a character, and we'll see where we go from there. But this was a really good match. Now I'm hoping they're not teasing a Rey Fenix and Devon Evans tag team to just replace Andrade due to him leaving. I hope that's not the case. But really good match. Really can't wait to see what they do with Devon Evans in the future. Now we end up getting a quick segment with the Street Profits, basically teasing more of the Wyatt Six, basically testing, playing my games, testing their brotherhood. They got a tag team championship next week. So I am hoping that this story actually pushes something because the story has been okay, hasn't been nothing major. Two things need to happen. Either the Street Profits need to win next week or one of them needs to turn heel. It doesn't matter who, but this story is starting to stretch out a bit and it's starting to get a bit repetitive. So pull the trigger and pull it fast because I don't like, come on, we do not need 6 months of this build of Street Profits and Wyatt's. Like, bro, this is the third match they're about to have. It's time. Either next week, Street Profits beat them, prove them wrong, or one of them turn heel. I don't care how it's played. I'm just wanting this story to be over because I'm ready to move on to the next thing. We'll see how this plays out, but let's hurry this feud up. Now we get the main event. Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes versus Division. Solid match. You end up getting Seth Rollins interferes in the match due to a Paul Heyman interference distracting the ref. Ends up hitting a curb stop onto Randy. Bronson Reed hits a tsunami to pick up the victory. After the match, Seth Rollins tries to finish the job on Cody, but he ends up failing. Cody hits a crossroads, and that's how we end SmackDown. Overall, this show was mid. It was a very mid show. They didn't put much effort into it. Yeah, but this is what I expect from SmackDown, to be honest with you. But you guys let me know your overall thoughts, opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.